All right, so today we're going to talk about Spanish healthcare because that's a big question for a lot of people when they move here is what is the quality of healthcare? What is the cost of healthcare? I've had a lot more experience with it in the last year than I wanted to have with it. But with saying that, our healthcare here has been phenomenal. It's affordable. It is truly health care. It's not a business like it is in the US. So some big points that I've taken away over the last almost 2 years is one, that it's not a business. They're not just trying to pump you full of drugs. They actually listen to you, and they take you seriously. It's not where like you go to the doctor and they're like, oh, try this, this, and this first. We'll see if maybe that works. And then we'll try that, and that. And then if that doesn't work, then you can get an x-ray and we'll see what's actually going on. But first, let's charge you a shit ton of money. So that's not how it goes here. If you go in with a problem, they're going to be like x-ray, MRI, blood tests, like run it all. We're going to see exactly what's wrong with you so we can prescribe you exactly what you need. That has been a 180 from my experience in the US, because my experience with US healthcare has been shit. It's the reason why I'm disabled. If they would have taken me seriously and not pumped me full of drugs for 18 months when I busted my back and couldn't move my legs, and they told me it was a muscle sprain, not doing an x-ray, not doing an MRI, then my spine wouldn't have fused together like a fucking exclamation question mark. I don't even know what it looks like. All I know is now I'm told that I have the spine of a 90-year-old with osteoporosis. So if that would have been if my experience in Spain would have been my experience in the US, I don't think I would have been disabled. I would have had surgery. It would have been correctable. Now I am stuck with something for the rest of my life. And that is the big difference that I've noticed here, is that they take you seriously. They prescribe you what you need. And to boot, it's affordable. Like, go figure. So there's a couple things with healthcare here. You have public healthcare and you have private healthcare. When you are on a visa, you're required to carry private healthcare because you're not eligible for public. You're eligible for public healthcare after 1 year of residency, then you can apply. But because you're not working here, you're not paying into it. So you do have to pay for public. Whereas if you were working here, you wouldn't have to pay for it at all. It, I believe, is 60 euros a month to pay into it if you're under 65. I think it's 120 a month if you're over 65 to pay into it, which still is not bad compared to US healthcare premiums, because that covers anything. Like anything you need is going to be covered. But for private healthcare, for us, it's about 2,600 euros for a year. That's no copay, no deductible. We get what we need, and that's that. We never see a bill. So we go to the doctor whenever we need, because I'm not worried about having to pay a $150 copay because I have a cold. No, I just go to the doctor. The accessibility of care here has been great. I can get into a PCM within 24 hours. I can get into specialty care in a week, maybe 2 max, but even that's rare. Like, it's fast. You get in. But that's private. Public will take a little bit longer. It might be 2 weeks for a PCM. It might be a month for specialty. But it's still not the wait times in the US. I mean, I was on an 18-month wait for US healthcare for a PCM. Like, forget specialty. It took me, let's see, how long was it? It was 2021 when I put in my consult to go for my back. And I didn't get in to the orthopedic until the year before we moved. So 2024. So I was on a wait list for 3 freaking years for specialty care for my back in the US. So yeah, that's not here. Even on the public, you're still going to get in faster than that. Private healthcare, the facilities are wonderful. They're clean. The doctors are great. They're friendly. They listen to you. We've had great experiences. Now, my son this last year had to go into the ER. He got like this rash that started, and it actually looked like measles. I think they call it petechiae rash, which is the same thing that you get from measles. And so obviously, like, we panicked because we're like, how in the world would have he gotten measles? Like, he's vaccinated. Like, this doesn't make any sense. we haven't been anywhere where there's a measles outbreak. So like, where did you get measles? And we went to the ER, the private ER first, and they saw us right away. And the doctor said the same thing. He looked at it and he was like, that's really weird. Like, but we're going to do a blood test and see what's going on. So they did a blood test and it came back to where his platelet count was 3. Like 3. Your platelet count is supposed to be between 200,000 and like 800,000, and his was 3. So the doctor came back and we knew something was very wrong by his face when he walked in. And he said, we need to rush you to the hospital immediately. Like you need to go to the hospital. There's something very wrong with your son. So we immediately, obviously, went to the hospital, which was the public hospital, because the doctor told us, he was like, hey, this is like a blood thing. We don't have anyone on staff here who deals with pediatric blood in this way. We haven't seen this. So go to the public because they have a specialist on staff. He called and he made sure that guy was there. And so we were like, okay, so we were rushed over there. We got checked in there. They gave us a room. They ended up admitting him into like the pediatric ICU. And then all this bruising started. Like, you literally could not pick him up and hold him without giving him a bruise because he didn't have platelets. So he was just bleeding internally everywhere. It was horrific. And they ran more tests. They kept him almost 3 days. And they determined that he had ITP, which is a very rare blood disorder. It's not common. There's no cure. There's no treatment really that you can do for it other than blood transfusions, which we found out that some people have to do that their entire life. We are very fortunate that for whatever reason, it subsided in about a month. But during that month, we were having to go constantly to get blood draws because they're worried, he's a toddler. If he bumps himself and starts bleeding internally, he could literally just die. He could have a brain hemorrhage. So they were very, very, very like, he can't go to school. He can't really do anything. Confine him to the couch, basically, which good fucking luck confining a toddler to a couch. It was horrible for us as parents because he doesn't want to just sit there. He didn't feel bad. He felt completely normal except for this blood problem. But the care that we got and the swiftness of the care that we got was so good that I think it really helped the outcome of everything. So he was there almost 3 days, and all the doctors, the specialty care, the blood transfusions, the IVs, everything, it was 1,200 euros for 3 days in the ICU. We didn't have to pay it. Our private insurance did pick it up because they didn't have a specialist in the area. But we saw the bill first. And we were just in shock because the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, I'm worried about my kid. But at the same time, like, the US side of my brain is turned on and I'm going, this is going to bankrupt us. Because it's at the public hospital. We don't have public. We have private. So I was like, we're going to owe them $1 million by the time this is over. And it was 1,200 euros for everything. So that was a shock. But yeah, fortunately, he's doing just fine now. He's back to his normal self. We've had to do routine blood draws to follow up and make sure that like things are back to a normal level. But they said it's just one of those weird diseases where it might never happen again. It might happen again in 5 years. It might happen again when he's 50. Like, there's not enough research on it. They're not really sure. So it's just something that has to be monitored basically for the rest of his life. But he is healthy for the most part. Just whatever that is going on, we just got to monitor him and make sure that he's okay and that his platelets are developing and replenishing themselves, I guess. So, but our experience with healthcare for both public and private was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, 180 from the US experience, that's for sure. So if you're worried about that, you're worried about how is the healthcare here? Is it accessible? Is it affordable? Will I get good quality care? Yes. Yes, you will. The only thing that I can say about the healthcare system here is the lack of English speakers within it, which makes complete and total perfect sense. You are living in Spain. They are going to speak Spanish. So it is what it is. But if you're someone who doesn't speak Spanish, one, you need to learn it. Two, maybe take a translator with you. We have things people call gestors here who can go with you to these type of appointments and act as translators. They're very inexpensive to use. But in like a high stakes situation like your health, you probably should have someone with you that understands what's going on. That isn't to say that there aren't English speakers. Like on my app for my healthcare, which is through Sanitas, I can sort my doctors by language. And there are English speakers. And this will really just depend also where you live. I mean, if you live somewhere like Valencia, Barcelona, Madrid, there's going to be a lot more English speaking doctors there. But where we live in Zaragoza, there is not really hardly any English speaking doctors. So there's that. That's something to think about. But I would say that is probably the only barrier to healthcare here. And I don't even know if I can qualify it as a barrier because you're going to someone else's country that speaks a different language. So it makes sense that they speak their language. So I don't really think that it's necessarily a barrier. It's a self-inflicted barrier, I guess. Like if you don't learn Spanish, like you're going to struggle.